Marcelo, does the Millennium Falcon back there, first of all, did you build it, or does that mean that you are a Star Wars fanatic?
It's a Lego set. I more than Star Wars, I like Lego sets, and especially this new one for adults, I would say.
Yeah.
They are slightly complex, and it's a good way to invest your time when you want to slow down and relax. So I just build them. One day I'm gonna sell it or give it to my son. It's just for fun.
Absolutely. You're my grandkids' new hero. I mean, if they see that, and they will see it actually, that's fantastic. Congratulations. Marcelo, tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, and kind of where you are today.
I started an internship at Citibank, closing accounts, and then I started to see other opportunities, interact with kind of people that I never saw before in my life. Then I grew through the ranks at Citibank. After 5 years, I moved to Santander. I worked for 5 years there. Then I get opportunity to work for a digital company in 2011, more or less, a South African company called Naspers, that is a huge investor in emerging countries. It was 2011, so digital was not that high that is now, particularly in Latin America, right? So I worked 2 years for Naspers Group. Then I joined MasterCard for 3 years out of São Paulo, Brazil. And then I got the opportunity to come to New York, where I worked for 3 years for MasterCard, and then I joined Sterling Bank now as a chief digital officer.
And Marcelo, from what do you see are some of the initiatives that are kind of related to digitalization, but also AI, the part that kind of we're passionate about in the banking world? Is there any particular trend? Is there any particular initiative that you see becoming really important?
Definitely, yes. I would pick two because I think those are closer to my reality here. I think the first one is how can we use AI and any type of automation to drive efficiency, right? There is a bunch of opportunities to be more efficient, to be faster, to be operating at lower costs that I think AI, automation, robotics, whatever you want to call it. I know there are differences between these terms, but these tools combined can drive, right? So if you think about an environment that you normally cannot expand your head counts, how can we use these people to do what I would call the premium activities that normally are sales related or customer support related, customer success, I would say is the fancy word right now, while operational activities that can be automatized can be done for something else, right? So I think that's the layer one. The layer two, one that I'm a huge fan, but I think some companies are not able to do yet, other companies not necessarily doing the best way, depending how you see it, is to anticipate client needs, right? How can I understand your behavior and how can I bring you better offers? Whatever it is, maybe you just expect to be supported by a human being. I should have known that and not drive you to a virtual agent. Or maybe you just married and very likely soon you're going to be looking for a mortgage and for a car loan. I should be able to bring that.
It does, absolutely. And, driving efficiency, anticipating customer needs, two things that are very important. You also touched on the compliance security issue. And, how do you see, because often when people mention AI, they also mention, okay, is it a friend? Is it a foe? There are the pros and cons about. Do you have a specific view of that, or how do you feel about it?
I don't have deep knowledge about it. I can share a lot of perceptions and ideas, right? I think first, AI, if you think about UX, right? They are not able to deal with diversity in different forms and shapes. I can tell you an example, language, right? It's very common that I talk with virtual agents and they don't understand what I'm saying. While there are solutions and there are tools that are improving and trying to catch up, it's still a little bit frustrating, right? I don't have any concern about that. But if you think about overall population, I believe there are people who would feel very uncomfortable when they try to talk with a virtual agent and the virtual agent doesn't understand what's said. The second piece that maybe we can discuss further is bias. When you think about product recommendations, solutions recommendation, is there any type of bias behind those recommendations? Oh, because you're a man, 38 years old, Latino, I offer you that, or I think that you need that, or I will not give you that job, or I will not give you that opportunity, whatever you can think about, right? There are some famous cases that companies were using AI to filter resumes, and there was a ridiculous, huge bias in that selection process, right? So how are the companies dealing with bias in the different form or shapes that it shows itself? So
perfect. Thank you, Marcelo.